Hi coaches, this is Luke Stanton, your coaches rep, coming to you from the Waltham Rink over the weekend of February 18th. Put in your mailboxes out front the two envelopes, one for your team manager, which has the coaches evaluations in it, and the other is for you as the head coach, which are player evaluations. I'd like to review them both for you and give you some additional information. The first is the coaches evaluations, and I have here Tom Borks for Pee Wee 2. Just says coaches evaluation and then has the word manager on the bottom of it. This should go to your team manager. All the parents are allowed to fill out the coaches evaluation as to the job, how you did this year, either online or in paper form. The reason we're doing it in both forms is because last year we did it all online and we didn't get as many as we should get. So these are used for a constructive purpose for the coaches to see things we need to work on with the coaches for next year, as well as when two coaches go for a job. We usually sit down with both coaches and review these with them. The second thing in there, and the more important thing I would suggest to you, is the player evaluations, and they're addressed to coach. So this will be taken by Tom Bork on the Pee Wee team. There are 3 documents in here. The first document has a yellow sheet. It's signed by Derek and I, and this has to do with something that came up this year. In September, we had a doctor come in and talk about concussions. And over the course of the year, I as coaches rep and Derek as the players rep have gotten wind of there being concussions suffered by some of the players at all different levels, in practices, in games, and things like that. So what we're trying to do as a board is to be a little proactive in this area. So underneath the yellow sheet, there's an injury reporting form. We want you to fill this out just for a concussion if you had a player get a concussion. And it has information in here as to was it an intent to injure, if it was during a game? Was a penalty called on the player who caused the concussion? Was it a new injury, or did your player have a concussion before? As well as how the injury occurred. Was it in practice? Was it in a game? Was it through a fall? Was it through the actions of another player? As I said, we don't need the player's name. We just want to know when the injury happened, and if you need more than one form, which hopefully not too many of you had more than one concussion on your team, just make a copy of it and stick it back in with your player evaluation so we can take a look at it. The second document in Tom Bork's and all of your folders is the tryout process. And this is a 3-page document, typewritten, explaining essentially what the tryout process entails. Every year it seems some coaches, as well as some parents, don't fully understand the tryout process. And this tries to explain it in written form for you as a coach, and you can share it with your parents if you'd like. If you have any questions regarding that, please see Derek or I. This was drafted last year and given out, but we're giving it out again. The third thing, and the most important thing for you as a coach, is the player evaluation forms for this year. There's 15 copies in there. Most of you have 15 players or less. A couple of teams might have more. If you need an extra sheet, just copy it. And these player evaluations have been refined every year since I've been involved in the program. And the one this year is the same as last year. We're asking you to put down your team name, the player name, and then overview. Their skating, puck handling, shooting, hockey sense, competitiveness, and their character. And by character, I don't mean that they're going to win a Nobel Prize. What we mean is, how are they within the team framework? Are they a team player? Are they selfish? Do they get a lot of penalties? Do they get bad penalties? Things like that. And there's finally an area at the bottom that has your overall assessment of this player. And also at the top of those sheets is the actual form whereby you'll rate your top player with comments. These 2 documents together are very important. As you guys probably know, the trial process consists of 4 people and a board member. The 4 people watch each level, and for purposes, or to be an example, we'll use the Pee Wees. 4 coaches watch the Pee Wee level over the course of 3 nights, 2 hours each night. And they are writing down on a sheet of paper what team they think this player could play in, as well as what they notice about this player as to how he skates, how he shoots, his hockey sense, all the things that you have on your player evaluation form. They are essentially looking at to determine where this player should be next year. So it's very important that they have a good understanding. However, sometimes the evaluators can miss something. And when they come into this room, into the boardroom to do the picks, they look back and have available to them the player evaluation sheets. And they use those player evaluation sheets to confirm, to test, and to be able to collaborate with what they found to make sure we put the players on the right team. And I can't stress to you enough the importance of this. I brought one from last year because some people, when they do the rankings, number 1 through number 15, and the words after it, I think are a little confused. We don't need sentences, just very quick statements. So this is one from a coach who's still coaching in our program who just wrote because he's talking to hockey people. For example, one of his players, good skills, difficult to coach, completes dishing passes all the time. Another player, solid player, comma, moves the puck, comma, very coachable. Very brief things that coaches can look at to see, does this confirm what we saw over the 3 hours or 6 hours of tryouts that this player was on the ice, or is this something we don't know? So I ask you to fill these out and return them in the board box outside the boardroom, or if you're concerned about someone looking at them, which shouldn't be a concern, but some people it is, what you can do is you can ask Guy or Bob or Eddie or anybody up here at the rink, can you do me a favor and let me in the boardroom? And when you walk in the boardroom, right to the left is a little mailbox. Stick in that mailbox. Again, it has your team name and your what it is, and we can get them, and then we compile them, photocopy them, and make them available to the tryout committees. Those are the two things that we're pushing for to get back from you. I know it's vacation week. Some people are away in tournaments up in Montreal and all over. Some are at the February vacation tournament. If you can get those back to us during the first week of March, it would be most helpful. And we will use those, as I said, in the trial process. Any other questions you have, any concerns you have in looking through this material, any things you want to know about, any assistance you need in getting your teams ready for tryouts, please either shoot me an email or shoot Derek an email and we'll help you. It's important to tell your players, especially when the calendar turns to March, that at that tryout, they are trying out for a spot on the team. Just because they've been on this team with all these players, they may be picked, the only player picked from your team that goes to a certain team. So they have to be on, number 1, their best behavior on the ice. Listen to the coaches, instruct them on the drills, and work hard at the drills and work hard at the 4-on-4. We get some coaches call and say, well, why do you do a 4-on-4 instead of a 5-on-5? A 4-on-4 is to take the player out of its comfort zone. If we did 5-on-5, what would happen is we would have many people say, well, my son's the left D and he never got into play and things like that. What we want to see the kids do is before they jump on the 4-on-4 is to talk among each other, regardless of whether they're mites, squirts, peewees, or bantams. Who's playing what position? What are we trying to do here? Can we move the puck? They should all be ready to do that on the 4-on-4. And as you know, we have 3 nights of tryouts. The first is skills, the second is a 4-on-4 with all the kids mixed in, and the third night, they do it by the ratings. So the top 8 players that go out are the players being considered for the top team, obviously. But there is some movement usually each and every night with players moving up and down according to what they do on the ice. And you should advise all of your players that it is a tryout. It is not just solely based on your coach's evaluation. It is not solely based on the tryout. It is both things put together, but it is that tryout committee who has to make the picks. It is that tryout committee who spent hours watching these kids play that determines where these players will go with the assistance of these properly filled out player evaluation forms. So that's it. If anybody has any questions, as I said, just find Derek or I or shoot us an email and we'll handle your questions as best possible. Thank you and good luck with the rest of your seasons.